2 million years ago, our human ancestors began losing most of the hair on their bodies. But certain body hair, like the hair on the head, was kept, and it could keep growing non-stop. What kind of force led them to give up their thick coats of hair? Let's look back a few million years earlier. Our ancestors, Australopithecus afarensis and Australopithecus africanus, looked much like chimpanzees, covered head to toe in thick fur. Until about 2 million years ago, Homo ergaster appeared. They were an early form of Homo erectus. By then, they had already shed most of their body hair. Their skin darkened from pale to black. Their noses began to protrude, and their nostrils widened. This marked a major leap in human evolution, and a study from the University of California provided evidence for this loss of hair. They discovered that humans between about 2 and 3 million years ago, while evolving, accidentally lost a single gene called MYH16. This greatly boosted the skeletal muscle's ability to use oxygen. It also gave humans more sweat glands, allowing them to cool down more effectively. This in turn helped early hominins like Homo erectus develop endurance running skills. Of course, there was a downside. It meant that humans became more prone to heart disease than other mammals. We have to understand, before Homo erectus appeared, our ancestors had a hard time obtaining meat. As their brains grew larger, their daily energy demands skyrocketed. To keep up with brain development, our early ancestors had no choice but to become scavengers. They survived by picking at leftovers from the meals of predators, and losing their body hair also meant they needed a much more efficient cooling system. This made it possible for early humans to chase fast-running animals across the hot, sun-scorched savannas of Africa. In terms of pure running speed, humans had little advantage. But with better cooling abilities, they could literally run their prey to exhaustion. It's easy to understand. Humans can finish a marathon in one go. But if you take a furry animal, even just a household dog, it could never complete that task. It would collapse from overheating halfway through. This was the huge advantage our ancestors gained by losing their body hair. So then, why, after shedding most of their hair, did they choose to keep the hair on their heads? The answer lies in natural selection. It was a result of human evolution. The African sun was scorching. Without hair on their heads, their skulls would have been directly exposed to sunlight. That would have caused their brains to heat up rapidly, even threatening their survival. That's why hair was preserved on the head. But unlike the hair of earlier apes, Homo erectus head hair kept growing continuously, which meant it had to be trimmed regularly. In contrast, the body and head hair of apes stopped growing once it reached a certain length. So they never needed to cut their hair in their entire lives. Of course, many people today would point out, lots of modern humans are balding. And with each generation, hair seems to get thinner and sparser. But hair growth has always been a key part of human evolution. Although we no longer need hair to shield us from the scorching sun on the African savanna, a full head of healthy hair is still something people long for. According to the 2023 Chinese guidelines on androgenetic alopecia, Most hair loss, if detected early and treated early, can actually be reversed. Cases of mild to moderate hair loss, like this, are exactly what the guidelines focus on. The core solution is the top-level, evidence-based treatment. The 5% minoxidil foam applicator. It quickly opens up blood supply channels to the follicles, reverses follicle miniaturization sooner, and stimulates the growth of new upright hairs, so that hair can still, just like our ancestors preserved it, show the vitality it should have. In fact, besides thick head hair, humans also have body hair, all over the body. For example, fine hair, armpit hair, eyelashes, eyebrows, and other types of body hair. But this body hair only grows to a certain length, and then stops growing. Only hair on the head and beard keep growing non-stop for life. In the era of early humans, those who first lost their body hair became more attractive to others in their group. Especially males who lost their body hair were more favored by females. As a result, they gained more mating opportunities. You might ask, how do I know this? Simple, because those who lost their body hair produced more and more offspring, while those who kept their body hair had fewer and fewer descendants and eventually even died out. In genetics, this is called genetic drift. In evolutionary biology, it's called sexual selection. Genetic drift or sexual selection not only allowed superior species to stand out more easily, but also made it easier for them to reproduce and thrive. Humans who lost their body hair evolved into Homo heidelbergensis about 1 million years ago. Some of them migrated to Europe. Around 600,000 years ago, they evolved into Neanderthals. Meanwhile, the Heidelberg people who remained in Africa evolved about 300,000 years ago into Homo sapiens. Homo sapiens are our direct ancestors. Modern humans, these traits of hair that differ from our ancestors, are all the result of adaptive variations through natural selection during evolution. In other words, they were to better adapt to environmental and climate changes, and to survive and reproduce more effectively. Mutations occurred in human genes, and so humans became one of the most thriving species today, spreading to nearly every corner of the world and dominating the entire planet.